The tariffs are officially here, and your new TV and audio gear will cost more. In fact, we just saw Nintendo delayed their pre-orders for the new Switch 2 because of the tariff announcement. So, how much more will everything cost? Well, a lot more. Some analysts are saying 10 to 25% more. Hi everyone, this is Dippin with CE Credit, and I'm here to break down the news on how tariffs are going to impact your next purchase. And I'm going to talk about 3 areas that are the most affected, as well as 3 predictions I have on the home theater and audio market for the rest of 2025. Let's dive in. Now, keep in mind, everyone is impacted. Even if they are American companies, you will see many of their products labeled as assembled in America versus actually built in America. But being built in America doesn't mean you are immune to these tariffs. That's why in this video, I'm going to break this down from a supply chain and manufacturing perspective, because I don't think many folks realize how intertwined the global manufacturing process actually is and the full impact here. The tariffs don't hit companies just once, they get hit multiple times. I'm going to simplify the 3 main areas: raw goods, finished goods, and transportation. Let's start with transportation because I think that might be the easiest one to understand. With tariffs on oil and other energy commodities, the price of shipping the products is going up. I'm just going to use simple numbers here for my example. These aren't the exact numbers and the exact tariff increases. Let's say it might have cost a company $100 to ship a product. The price goes up by 10% with the new tariffs, and now it costs the company $110 to ship the same exact product. Now the 10% might just be a last mile cost for the finished good, which is basically the product ending up on your doorstep. But if you look at the transportation cost as a whole, transportation costs will affect all aspects of the supply chain. I'm going to talk about raw materials in a moment, but the cost to ship the raw materials will also go up. This means if you're buying steel or aluminum, you'll be paying more on the cost of the raw goods and the shipping of the raw material to the factory for manufacturing. I'm going to break down all the potential increases in cost in just a moment here, but the main call out and the takeaway is that transportation costs are going up and will hit the company at least 3 times, if not more. The first way the company gets hit is shipping the raw goods to the factory. The second way a company will get hit is shipping the finished goods to a warehouse. And then finally, shipping the product to your doorstep. Now, I don't want to go too deep here. I want to keep this simple, but keep in mind that last step of shipping the product to your doorstep can have even more transportation fees if the company is shipping it to a local dealer first, or is it going to a warehouse or a distribution center like Best Buy or Costco. All of these things are going to continue to increase the cost of that product. So in this example, let's say if shipping to the factory now costs 5% more, and the cost of shipping the finished good from the factory to the warehouse goes up 10%. And finally, the cost of shipping the finished good goes up 15%. You end up with a blended average increase of 10%. Now, let's hold on to that number as we dive into the cost of raw goods. The cost of raw materials like steel, wood, copper, whatever, they're all going up. But they're not all going up at the same rate because it really depends on the country you buy the raw goods from and the distance it needs to travel from a transportation cost. But in general, they're all going up and everything's getting more expensive. So depending on how many different kinds of raw goods you need, you will see the impact of prices vary. Let's use a turntable in this example. The wood might come from one country and they might have a 25% tariff. The tone arm and platter might have steel and aluminum come from another country which has its own 15% tariff. Then finally, the electrical wires using copper is coming from another country and it has its own 10% tariff. This means you get a blended average cost of 16.66% to make the exact same turntable. Now, moving on to finished goods and the final price, manufacturers and companies have to take a look at the cost of manufacturing the product and the transportation cost to figure out the total price increase for consumers. So I'm going to oversimplify here, but if you add that 16.66% and the additional 10% transportation cost, now you're looking at a 26.66% increase to the company. So a turntable that used to cost $1,000 before will now cost $1,266. That's an over $250 increase to the exact same product. And if you're in the home theater market and you're trying to budget for a home theater system, and let's say you put together a $5,000 budget, you will need to save an additional $1,333 to buy the exact same home theater system. That is a lot of money. Now, here are my 3 predictions on what I think will happen in 2025. The first one, manufacturers might not increase the cost all the way and might absorb some of the tariff costs. While I think this is going to be a rare occurrence, some companies might do this initially to see if the tariffs go back down. For example, Bluebird Distribution has publicly announced they will not raise prices immediately, but long term we'll have to see how the market shifts and if they change their position. Now, the second point is going to be really hard to find deals. This might be one of the worst years for trying to find deals on TV, speakers, and any home theater gear. I expect Black Friday and Cyber Monday to have very poor offerings, even worse than what we've seen in the last couple of years. And third, and this is the worst one of them all, but these new prices are going to be the new normal. Even if the tariffs go down or even go away completely, I think the retail pricing is going to stay the same to the new increased price with the tariffs. The flip side here, and a bit more positive, is that this might open the door to more deals, so you might see heavier discounts than you've seen in the past, but the products will still be overall more expensive. So what do you guys think about the tariffs impacting the cost of your next AV or audio gear? Are you going to wait to buy? Are you going to rush to buy something now before prices go up and everything goes into full effect? And if you like content like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. It really helps to get the channel out there to help more people. And in the next video, I'm going to be talking about QD OLED versus the new tandem OLED panels that LG and Panasonic implemented in their 2025 TVs. And we will see if tandem OLED panels close the gap on the QD OLED panels, which are the reference in the category. Catch you guys in the next one.